Hi, I'm Executive Chef Scott Tope, and we're in the Caresify cooking video series. Today we're going to do something kind of interesting. We're going to do a 30-minute meal. Chef, I've been cooking and teaching globally, but now my focus is 100% on you, the incredible caregiver. You don't have time for complicated recipes? I'm taking all my world-class knowledge and turning it into fast, easy, nourishing meals that fit your busy schedule. We're cutting the stress, boosting the flavor. Let's cook something amazing right now. So we're going to make something that's kind of a traditional dish. Some of you may be very familiar with it. Some of you may not. Hopefully you can pick up a few tricks along the way, but we're going to cook tacos today. We're going to make the old style American tacos, a couple of little variations, some interesting things. We're going to create an interesting drink to go with it. We're going to do a strawberry margarita that you can add tequila to, or you can not. So we're going to kind of go through some of that as well. We're going to talk a little bit about food safety. Safety is always first, especially when we're dealing with people who have a reduced immune system or an immune system that isn't as strong as it should be post-surgery, or are dealing with certain health issues. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and the importance of food safety. And then we're going to talk about what we can do with some leftovers. We've got basically a pound of ground beef, and we're going to turn that into about 3 meals. Total meal cost is going to be about $40 total, but at the same time, we're going to be able to get several meals out of this with the groceries that we've bought, the items that we have, and be able to make those last. So let's get into it, shall we? We're going to go to the grocery store. Okay, we have our shopping list ready to go. I have a small cart. We're not going to need a big one today. There's really not a lot of stuff we're going to be shopping for. Like to get into the produce section. We have the tomatoes coming up. Should be baseball size, firm to the touch, no soft spots. Next, we're going to start looking at some avocados. Again, same. Firm to the touch, not soft or mushy. We'll talk a little bit more about these. Maybe if they're a little hard, we can talk about some ways to soften them up. Cilantro. Not a big fan of people going through and rustling through cilantro, but it happens. Try to look for something that doesn't have a lot of stems in it, doesn't have a lot of leaves missing. Leaves are nice and full, kind of bushy. Something that can be utilizing a lot of the product instead of just stems. So this looks pretty good. Lettuce, again, good color, no brown spots. Try to get the heaviest one. They're getting more and more genetically modified to have air inside, if you'll notice. So a heavy head of lettuce means lots of lettuce inside. I'm going to head to the international aisle next. Low sodium taco seasoning, 15 calories. 9% of daily sodium allowance, good option for those that are watching their sodium. Standard taco mix, again, only 15 calories, just higher sodium. It means they put just a lot more salt in there to work on getting you what you want as far as flavoring. There's also another one, there's a bulk low sodium, has multiple portions inside of it. Great on soups, popcorn, grilled cheese sandwiches, great option to get. I think we'll probably grab that one. Flour tortillas, 100 calories, 7% sodium. Easy to calculate, easy to handle, and they're shelf stable. Ortega taco seasonings, just standard American taco seasoning, 10 calories per serving. Sodium is under 10%, which is good, so we're going to grab that. Salsa is just going to be kind of whatever your preference is, or your patient's preference rather. Just watch the sodium levels on them. Some of them are pretty high. Another idea, combo shell packs, multiple meals out of this. Soft tacos, hard shell tacos can be crunched in to even make a taco salad if necessary. We're going to head over to the meat aisle next. Lots of options to look at, but let's kind of go through a couple of them. Maybe something we hadn't thought about before. So for example, if we're watching our cholesterol, might want to look at the ground chicken or the ground turkey. Very low in cholesterol. Flavor profile is going to be very similar. Shaved steak, and somebody wants fajitas instead. Just watch out, these are ribeyes, so they'll have a higher fat content. Just want to be aware of that. Speaking of high fat content, standard ground beef, it's just the cheaper cuts of meat that they can't utilize or sell, so they grind it up into ground beef. So basically think of this as just cheap cuts of meat that have been ground up. Something like this though, ground sirloin, has a 96% lean, 4% fat. There's hardly any fat in this. So I think we're going to go with this one on the trip. Shredded cheese, the super fine or the fancy shredded, they're full of anti-caking agents that keeps it from clumping together. So I'm not a big fan. If you don't have time to shred your own cheese, which most of us don't, grab something that has a rustic cut or a bigger, thicker cut. It's going to have less anti-caking agents in it, and it's going to have a better flavor. Sour cream bottles are great when you have them because of dexterity issues, because of the amount that you can regulate a little easier. Just a cleaner thing to have instead of that tub of sour cream, which just always seems to get messier as you use it. I forgot limes, so I had to run back and grab limes. Any of your citrus should be solid in color. This is towards the beginning of the citrus season, so the citrus isn't looking that good. I'm 6'7", so I was able to reach into the back and find this really nice green, pretty lime, so we'll go with that. Beans, again, another great source of protein. Just watch the sodium levels on them. Most of the beans have a low sodium version of it. You can put the flavor into there without having all that salt. So think about that seasoning mix that we had, or even throwing a little bit of salsa in there, which we're going to do later when we cook it up. Finally, we're done. Headed back to the cash register. $33.44, not bad. All right, we're back from the store. Let's talk about beef. First off, we have a 96% lean ground beef. I like to use the leaner ground beef. This is more of the premium cuts that they use, not the fattier cuts when it's butchered. So it's meat that is a little bit of a higher quality that's ground into there. One of my favorite things is to get some beef tenderloin, some beef sirloin, and some beef brisket. I take the scraps, clean the fat up, grind it up, make the best hamburgers you ever had. Little note off to the side. But for what we're doing with today, we want as much of a lean beef as possible. But you say, Scott, flavor's in the fat. Not necessarily. While the fat will have some flavor, it's not always necessarily a good flavor or the flavor we're looking for. The other thing is that the fat will sit on your tongue a lot longer, which will keep the flavor on your tongue longer. Don't believe me? Try a little experiment. Take and get a little bit of garlic, maybe a little bit of garlic powder, put it in some olive oil, put it on your tongue, see how long it takes. As soon as that's off, put a little garlic powder in some water, put it on your tongue and see how long it's there. The only reason people say the fat has the flavor is because it stays on the tongue longer. Your tongue enjoys the flavor longer. But what it also does is give us the bad fat as well, and that's what we kind of want to avoid, which is why we're going for lean ground beef. Lean ground beef is not necessarily as unhealthy as some people might think. Now, if you decided you were going to go with chicken or turkey, understandably, we're going to talk about how to emphasize some flavor and put some free calorie flavor that's in there when we make this a little later, and we'll kind of show you. So that's our ground beef. Next one we have is our cheese. I chose a rustic cut Cabot sharp cheddar. Doesn't necessarily have to be. That's something that you kind of see on the East Coast, but if we're having trouble finding it, there's a suitable backup, and it is the thick cut extra sharp cheddar cheese from Walmart. Has it on every shelf. Walmart's great. We keep a bag of it in the house here. Use it as a last minute. Want to throw some on a scrambled egg. Want to throw some on top of a soup. Want to melt something. It's a great melting product. So if you don't want to use this, I'd recommend going ahead and using the Walmart brand. It's good quality. Walmart's brands now have started to kind of take a step in acknowledging that the quality of what they produce is there. Customers have spoken back, so that's what we have. Then we're going to talk about our produce. Very important part. We're going to see here, when we pulled it out of the store, that cilantro was just a little wilty. So we brought it home, stuck it in the fridge. I stuck it in a plastic bag, a little Ziploc bag with some lettuce, and it kind of sprouted back overnight. And this has actually been sitting out for just a little while underneath the lamps, but you can see it's pretty good. We're going to go through on how to clean this and make it last longer. What we want to do is kind of get the stems off of here, because that's going to enhance the breakdown, and nobody likes wilty, soggy mucky cilantro. So we'll kind of talk about that. Next, we're going to talk about the tomato. We want a firm tomato. Nice, strong tomato, has even a little bit of bounce to it. You can see that. That's something we want to look for because it's something that's going to be easier to cut and easier to handle so that we can make smaller cuts of the tomato to put onto the tacos. Same thing for salads. Same thing if you're putting it as a garnish on top of something. Whatever you might want to use raw tomatoes for, kind of a nice thing to have them a little firmer to dice up. We can talk about a few things that we can do to enhance that tomato flavor, and we'll get into that a little later. Next, we have our avocado. Avocados are great source of vitamins, great source of nutrients, great good cholesterol. They do have some fat in it, so we need to be aware of that. But again, it's all on the balance of what we serve and what we're putting as far as nutrients in the body. Avocados are a good thing. Guacamole isn't necessarily, because then you start to put a bunch of other stuff into the guacamole that might add some negative effects to it. But we can talk about that as well, maybe on a later date. Avocado should be soft. This is a Calavo made out of California. Calavo is the California Avocado Association. It's a group of growers. Great product, love it. It should be soft. It should feel almost like a soft, maybe like a little bit of an unripened banana, but that's kind of what we're looking for. The hard avocados, not so good because they haven't got the flavor, haven't had time to develop that. This will produce a bit of a sweeter flavor in the avocado. Good thing to have. Finally, we're going to have our lime. Limes are good to keep around. One of the beautiful things about limes is that when you put it into something, it kind of enhances the flavor, doesn't overpower it, say like a lemon would. You squeeze some lemon juice on something, everybody's going to know it's lemon. When you squeeze a lime juice on something, it's going to kind of enhance that flavor. It's a little more subtle. You see it in a lot of Caribbean cooking as well as parts of Mexico and Central and South America. So love having limes around. We're going to do something a little later. We're going to take this lime, we're going to turn it into a margarita. And we'll kind of walk through that when it's time to plate up. But we're going to need some sugar-free lemonade and some non-alcoholic margarita mix. If your person is looking for something that has a little alcohol, we can throw a little bit in there as well. So just some things to keep track of. I did buy the taco seasoning that was in the bulk. On the back, you'll see there's directions for making 12 tacos, 4 tacos, so on and so forth. It'll kind of walk you all through it. You can kind of see on there. Get that focused in a little bit better, but the instructions are on the back. Now, the cool thing about this is that it's low sodium. Put it on popcorn, put it on your eggs in the morning, maybe even put it into a soup or something that you kind of want to dress it up a little bit, maybe do something a little bit different. Get a Campbell's tomato soup, put a little bit of that in, maybe a little bit of some diced chicken or even some of our leftover taco meat, and you've got something that's kind of a twist on the soups and something you can do with that as well as with leftovers. So we've talked about all of this. Let's talk about our equipment now. Our skillets. I've used this skillet for this specific purpose for one reason. It has the high walls on the side. So on the high walls, as you're mixing stuff, it'll splatter up against the wall and splatter back in. You get something that's sloped and it splatters, it's going to splatter out of the pan. So something like this. Now those saute pans that have the sloped edges, they're great. And we'll talk about uses for those later in other videos in the series, but this is just something for right now. Kind of want to have a little bit of a high wall. You see we've used Teflon, again, preventing sticking and ease of cleanup. With the Teflon skillet, we're going to want to use something that's wooden or of a silicone or a plastic style. Anything that's metal that gets in there is going to scrape it up, and we don't want that. So something to keep in mind. Might even want to think about having a couple of your own wooden spoons and maybe even one of your own skillets that you take back and forth to have the comfort level with, and you know it's of a higher quality and something to work with. So something to think about there. For our dish today, we're also going to go ahead and make some rice and beans. Kind of talk through about how we're going to do some of that as well. A little sauce pot to heat the beans up. Rice has already been cooked, been sitting in the refrigerator, so we're just going to shoot it in the microwave real quick and put it in there. So when we make that dish later, you're going to see kind of how all that works. Let's talk about cutting boards and knives. Cutting board. I like a plastic cutting board only because it goes into the dishwasher. Wooden cutting boards are great, but you got to wash them by hand. Don't put them in the dishwasher I've learned that lesson the hard way many, many times. So something to think about as we're doing this. Knives. We're looking for a nice sturdy knife. I would recommend something of a German knife, Henkel's, Friedrich Dick, Zwilling. Some of those German knives, they just have a harder steel to them. You can find them for a reasonable price. My recommendation would be to maybe go to a Kohl's or a TJ Maxx and look for what's on sale in the kitchen section. Best time to buy some of these is closer to Christmas, because TJ Maxx will buy up the excess of whatever these producers have or manufacturers have. They'll buy them at a discount and they'll pass that on to you in the store. Same product that you're going to go into, say, a Macy's and buy a $150 skillet, bought this for $29.99 at TJ Maxx. Just something to think about. For the knives, we want to keep them sharp. Beautiful big knife. You can kind of see where the knife is going to be a little bit bigger than the fruit. That's something we want. It's going to kind of help us prevent from getting ourselves cut too much. Bigger knife, little knife, you kind of can lose track of maybe where the tip is, and it's certainly going to come out and bite you. I tell my cooks all the time, you play with fire, you're going to get burned. You play with knives, you're going to get cut. So we want to kind of mitigate that. The second thing that we want to mitigate is how sharp it is. You need to sharpen your knives. If you don't have the skills or you don't have the products to do it, you can go into any Ace Hardware. They're going to have a little sharpening system in there. I have several $1,000s worth of knives, and I trust those guys with those knives in that system because it does great work. A couple of times a year is about all you're going to need. So something to think about as far as just keeping sharp knives. You want to get your own knives. Most chefs have their own knives. You walk into a kitchen and you see the guys that are handling their own knives, they're going to take care of them. So take care of your knives if you get one. And we can certainly talk about that later. Hey, let's go do some cooking and some prepping. All right, let's get cooking. Got our ground beef here. I'm going to turn our little thing on about a medium high. We don't want it too high because we don't want to burn it. But we also want to make sure that we're getting a good color on the beef. So we're going to open up our beef. Put it right straight into here. You can hear the machine turn on a little bit. This is an induction cooker. I like using an induction cooker only because I have better control of the temp. But again, not worrying, any skillet will work. So we're working on just about anything we have here. So this thing is going to take a minute to come up. There's a talk back and forth about hot skillet versus cold skillet. You're in a restaurant, you're trying to get food up hot, quick. Understood. Home doesn't really matter, especially since we're working with a non-stick skillet. We're going to let the beef see how it's starting to brown up a little bit. We can go on max sear now. Just going to get it good and hot. You can start to see some of the water starting to separate. We don't want to drain that water. We want to cook that water. Again, that's more flavor that's going to stay in there. And when you're done, I'll show you what we're doing as far as how the oil left over in it is going to look like. Again, we're doing this in time so I can let you see how fast this kind of works up. So while this is working, we're going to start working on cutting some vegetables and getting everything ready for our taco filling. That's coming next. So while this is cooking, set it on low. If you can see here, we'll set it down to a medium. And we're going to start prepping some vegetables. Okay, let's get started on some prep. While the meat's cooking, we're going to be sitting here and working on a few other things. So again, let's not forget we have our sharp knife with us. We don't want to cut up the whole tomato because we may want to use it later. So what we're going to do is we're just going to cut it in half, like so. Take part of it, zip it up, put it away. We're going to take our little knife. We're going to score a little bit of that out of there. Okay. Discard that as well. It's always kind of nice to keep a little trash bag handy. Then we're going to talk about how we're going to score this. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to take the knife down the top and make a couple incisions like so. See how nice that sharp knife works? God, it's so nice. Take now we have beautiful little diced perfect pieces of tomato. Another bag to put it up. Sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of a scraper, creates a little less of a mess. Like so. Now, you just have some nice diced tomato ready to go. This can even hold up maybe to a day ahead of time. I wouldn't let it go much further than that. Clean knife. Clean cutting board. Lime. Take either end off the lime. It's going to make it a little easier down the line. Take this, you can save the zest, you can save this, kind of squeeze it into something, maybe even use it as a garnish or zest. I'm going to take and cut little wedges. Now, it's a lot of wedges, right? So we're going to need to kind of save some of these for later. You can put them all into one bag. We'll just save our 2 wedges here. Use those for later. So now, got that done. Avocados. Avocados can be tricky. I'm going to take and just kind of roll it along to the seed in the side there in the middle. Then we're going to take, lightly twist, it'll pop right off. See that beautiful little thing in there? Take the knife, don't be afraid to get it in there, it'll pop out like that. Set that aside for trash. And then we're going to take the avocado, cut it in half again, set that one aside, tilt it on its side, put the little knife in there, push down, the skin will automatically separate. And if you get a little skin caught in there, that's fine. So now we've got a perfect little thing, wedge. If you want to take and scrape some of this off, it's great. Scrape the meat off, take this, put it over the top, keep it from browning a little bit. Take our second little wedge, put it off like that. We have our 2 wedges ready to go. Final thing we're going to cut is our lettuce. We didn't talk about this much. Lettuce is lettuce. Not a difficult thing to buy. Look at the heads. Look at how it sets. Look at what you've got going on as far as making sure that it's not brown, that it's not been damaged, dropped. Kind of feel it should feel firm. Open this up. Now, with the lettuce, you're only going to need a little bit for the nachos, right? Or for the tacos, or nachos. So we're going to just shave off what we think we're going to need. The rest of this, we can take, put the bag back over the top like that, set it down. It'll help keep it from browning and spoiling. So we'll set that aside. Then we'll take this part right here, twist this way so you can see, and it's just real thin slices of lettuce. Okay? Take one of our beautiful little decorative bowls, put it in there, put our little avocado wedges in there like so. And then we'll be able to do some more things with this later. Again, we can see it's just the water in here we're burning off. Okay? Now is a good time. We're going to take our taco shells. We didn't talk much about those earlier, but these are a good thing. We're going to go ahead and throw these in the oven and start letting them get a little warmed up if we want to use the hard shells. If we want to use the soft shells, I'll show you in a second how we'll heat those up and get those ready. Kind of an interesting little take, a little bit of a flair. Don't have to do it. They'll work for 30 seconds in the microwave to warm up. Depending on the power of the microwave, I'd set them for 15 seconds first and see how they do. But you can see we're starting to get this down. This was quick. This is only about 5 minutes of work. Again, very little oil, mostly water in here. There's a little bit of oil, but again, you can see the steam is kind of coming off. It's taken some of it off. Add a little bit of our taco seasoning. Now, I believe you need 1 pound of ground beef. It says 10-inch skillet, 3/4 cup of water, 1/4 of a seasoning. Kind of depends. Put a little bit of our own seasoning on there. Quarter cup of water. Keep that on high. We're going to stir that around. Let it come back up to high. I'm going to let it cook down a little bit. Let some of that water cook out. It'll thicken up as we do this. But you're going to have a nice little saucy consistency. Kind of keep stirring that around a little bit. Now, if you put a little too much water in there, that's fine. Now would be a good time to maybe give it a little bit of a taste to see what you think. See it coming up. We're going to set that down to medium. Now what's happening is that the old El Paso taco seasoning mix, and any taco seasoning mix you're going to get, it's going to have, one of the ingredients is going to be cornstarch. It's just our cornstarch that we use at home. It's something that we've thickened with before. If we have dietary restrictions, might want to watch out for that, but you really don't see a lot of cornstarch dietary restrictions. We can see that this is heated up, ready to go. I'm going to set this on low now. Now, here's a fun little trick. It's a street taco trick. If you've ever been, had the opportunity to watch something on some of the travel shows and all that stuff, what they're going to do is we're going to take the taco, we're just going to set it right on top of the meat right here and let it come up to temp. Kind of let that meat come through. We want to set it up a little higher. We can set it up a little higher. Put your hand on top of the shell. You can feel it. See that boil happening again. That's the steam coming up. We're going to take and peel that off. So you've got some of the meat in there and some of the seasoning, which is great. We're ready to go. Let's go ahead and start making some beans now. Now we're going to work on our sides. One of the things that we want to think about is, what do we have for our sides? What goes well with the sides? What are we used to? Might be something to ask. Is it refried beans? Is it black beans? Is it pinto beans? Is it chili beans? Some of the things that they want to ask for. Personally, I'm a big fan of black beans. Love black beans. These are Bush's black beans. Again, Bush's does great stuff, but any black bean will work because we're going to dress up the flavoring just a little bit. So we're going to turn our little oven back, our little stove here back on. Pop the top. Add our beans. Now here's where the fun part gets. We can put whatever little flavor profile we want in there. Personally, I'd like to throw just a little bit of taco seasoning back in there. Again, going to kind of thicken it up so it's not going to run all over the plate. And then the other thing that I'll do is I'll use a salsa. Love salsa. Kind of go towards the fresher salsas, but again, depends on what your folks want. They want something a bit more what they're used to. Again, that's just some questions we can ask while we shop. But again, you can just see we threw a few things in there, and then turn that up to high, give that a little stir, let it come up to a boil, get everything in there. It's already starting to have that little seasoned good look. We're going to take the other one, get that going, get it heated up, and then we'll be ready to plate up. We have a little bit of leftover rice. We're going to talk about leftover rice. I use leftover rice at the house all the time. It's one of those dishes that has a high starch, has some sugar, has some moisture, has some heat, time, temp. Those are all bacteria's favorite things to grow in. So when I make rice at home, it's one of the staples in our house that a lot of people eat, especially my daughter, who seems to just thrive on it. We're going to take it, we cook the rice, serve what we want, immediately put what we don't want back into a Ziploc bag, flatten it out and stick it in the fridge and cool it down as fast as we can. The Chinese chefs at Caesar's Palace taught me this when they make their fried rice. That way the rice is cold when they go to use it. When you go to microwave it, if we're going to microwave it for something like this, we're just going to go ahead and take it and got a simple hack for you. Put a little water in there, microwave it up, and bring it on. So I think we're about ready. Let's go ahead and get into plate up, shall we? Hey, got a simple hack for you. So we've got our hot meat right here, correct? So set up, ready to go. One of the things that you can do, especially if you're having somebody that has a particular need, I like to take my cheese and put some right over the top of this and let the heat kind of melt it a little bit into there. So just kind of a fun little cool trick to have, especially if we're going to be, so we'll start that up, we'll hit on medium high, let that come up, and we've got melted cheese ready to go that we can just put right into the taco. Just kind of a little thought. So let's go ahead and get started plating up. We've got our warm little shell here. Mix a little bit of this up. You can see it's already started to melt. We don't want it to be super melted because we still want that look. We can have it set up to either where we let them dress it themselves or we can dress it for them. Lots of color, lots of color. A little bit of an avocado in there. Set that off to the side. Put a little lemon wedge on top. Take a little bit of our rice. Put it off to the side. Kind of get that to sit upright. I'm going to take some of our beans. Nice, wonderful hot beans. A little bit off to the side for that. Again, great balance of carbs, proteins, vegetables. A little bit of our fresh cilantro. You can create a little bit of a sprig in there. That looks great. Now, here's the capper. Here's one of the things that I actually love to make. Love taking Minute Maid cider or Minute Maid strawberry sugar zero lemonade. Put a little bit in there. any margarita, authentic mix, non-alcoholic. Put a little splash in there, just on the top, kind of gives it a bit of a twist. Take our knife, take our little lime wedge, put it in the top, and we've got this great little strawberry margarita. So you can see this dish has gotten something that has a little bit of taste and love for everybody, a little bit of something that we can kind of show off and be proud of, and we still have plenty of leftovers. Enjoy. So in review, we talked about a lot of things. We talked about food safety, talked a little bit about the shopping, what's involved with that, some knife skills, some safety and sanitation skills, and then how to handle leftovers and deal with those. So let's go ahead and get something to eat. Got the taco up. Gonna squeeze a little bit of that juice over the top. Cheers. Enjoy your meal. Oh, so refreshing. Enjoy. We'll see you on the next video. All right, let's talk about leftovers for a minute. Got a couple of things that we do in professional restaurants that may not be aware of. A little way to keep your stuff organized and to be able to track how long food's been in the refrigerator, to let your clients know what it is, how long it needs to be done, all that information. So we're going to talk about this. First off, we've got these little cups. You can get these on Amazon. You can get a full sleeve of about 50. I think they even make a few smaller ones that you can get a few at a time. These are dishwasher safe, BPA free, come in different sizes. As we can see here, this is generally the largest size. This is going to be the smallest size. So, and then each sleeve will come with appropriate lids. Again, these are great, can be recycled. If you don't have that kind of access, Ziploc baggies are a great source to use as well for holding leftovers. As you can see here, we've got our beans that have been seasoned and left over right here. The other thing that we've done is we've grabbed some blue painter's tape and a Sharpie marker. So on something like this, if we're going to be leaving, if we think that our day is over, we're going to be doing something else, if there is going to be somebody who is going to be left alone for a while, and you want to leave cooking instructions or what this is or how long it's been in there, again, so you can kind of track so something doesn't go to waste. Might want to keep food in the fridge at most if it's been cooled down properly for about 7 days. Beyond that, it's time to get rid of it. So on the blue tape, we take our little Sharpie marker, we write on here, black beans. Okay? Simple enough, big enough for somebody to read. We're going to write the date on there. Okay? And then finally on the side, we're going to write for this package what we think. So 2 minutes microwave. Okay? I'm going to peel that off. Tape that across and done. Now the reason we like the blue tape is because it's a painter's tape. It's meant to peel off of whatever it's on, doesn't leave any residue, unlike masking tape or some of the other tapes. So this is a great tape. They also stick very well to the outside of these little plastic cups that we have. So we can take and do the same thing on top. Right here, stick it on there, see it. The other part is that it's going to be blue, so your clients are going to recognize the color, know that it's from you. When you go through the refrigerator, you can start grabbing things. It's like, oh, wait a minute, this is pushing out on the 7-day date. we probably ought to find something to do with this tonight. If it wasn't a favorable thing, client didn't like it, didn't want it, obviously we have to discard it. But this way you've got tracking of everything you've done, the date that you made it, and the cooking information on it. So hope this little trick helps. It's what we use in the kitchens all the time, and probably be pretty helpful at home. I know we use it at our house just to identify what's in the fridge, because if you look at it and you see 20 of these little cups and they're all about the same color, you're not going to know what's in there. A lot of times I've made the mistake of throwing something in there thinking, I know what it is. Then I'll go grab it. It's like, wait, is that tomato sauce? Is that tomato soup? Or is that red pepper puree? So the notes will help you keep organized, as well as if you have some cognitive issues with your customers or clients, this is a good thing to have for them to know. They're going to see the blue tape. There's going to be a little bit of a reassurance that that came from you, their caregiver. And so it's kind of a good thing to have. Just a little note. Hope this helps.